You're looking to your friend group. And so, parents out there, if you have younger children, when you're, I mean, you really do have to start screening. And I'm not sure who meant, maybe Puncher, you mentioned something about this, but like, you don't, or I think it was Eric actually, but yeah, you really don't want your kids hanging out with certain kids because of the influence that they will have, because they are really no longer looking to their parents for validation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Kudo, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, guys? How are y'all? Puncher, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Doing good.
Hey, I was curious, kind of change the topic a little bit. Did any of you guys see that Bond, like this post? I think his name's Jonathan Bond. He's a crypto analyst out of Europe. He made this big post today. Before I go into the details, did anyone see what I'm referring to?
Yeah, I saw it. If you have it, you could throw it in the nest if you would. But he's basically saying the code doesn't code and the math doesn't math, and Bitcoin is going to die in what, like 12, 13 years because of such and such, right?
Yeah. 7, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with the guy. Just, yeah, basically his point was 7 to 11 years, however he comes up with that. The idea is that that with the halvings, basically the miners can secure the network because they're mining Bitcoin. But as the halvings continue, there's not enough Bitcoin. If the price stays low and, there's not enough transactions on the network, the Bitcoins and ETFs and all this stuff, then it basically could kind of create a death spiral, and then a 51% attack could happen. I love Bitcoin. For me, it's an big asymmetric bet to the upside, but I'm always trying to keep an eye on kind of the big existential risks. I think they're very small, but it's something I think about. But I'm not qualified to really diagnose that. And I was curious, with Tomer or some of these guys up here, if any of y'all had read that and what your thoughts were.
Well, first of all, it's a tome. It's one of the longest posts I've ever seen. I mean, it's going to take you 6 minutes to read it. But I think what stood out for me in the 5 paragraphs that I did read, he doesn't understand that Bitcoin is a network, and that those transactions are going to transpire on layer 2 and layer 3 Bitcoin. Like, he completely dismisses the fact that Bitcoin's a network, and he looks at it as purely money with a certain amount of space in blocks. And he makes a lot of fundamental misassumptions that I just dismissed it at that point. I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't get it.
Is there anything new at all, Puncher? Because that stuff is old as the hills, and that's been
it is. But we should read it and then give it its proper attention, because a lot of people
put it in the nest. Maybe I'd like to see it.
Who wrote this?
I'm not sure who wrote it. Yeah, Kudo, if you can put it in the nest. I did read it, and it is a long, long, long tome. Puncher, I saw you put it in the DM group, so I read it. There's 2 main big things that he misses. And basically, Kudo hit it. What this guy is basically saying is that Bitcoin is going to be dead in the future, because as we continue to have these halvings and the Coinbase, the block rewards that come from the Coinbase transaction are going to be so small that miners are going to just go offline. They're not going to be incentivized to continue to secure the network. As we know, miners secure it with the energy because they are all entering this contest to hopefully win some Bitcoin. What he misses 2 big things. One is Satoshi's main invention, and that's the difficulty adjustment. If miners go offline, and we've seen this happen so many times, the energy required reduces. So number one, the miners will just adjust, and if miners go away, new miners will come on board, or the ones that are more efficient or find cheaper energy will secure the network. The second thing that he misses is that he puts all the miners in one group. He just assumes that if suddenly there's a halving, that they all are just going to be unprofitable and they're all going to just stop. And that's not going to happen. 2, we have transaction fees, and if Bitcoin is suddenly up into the $2 or $3 million per coin, and people are using it mostly as a store of value because of all the layer 2s are taking care of our daily transactions and payments, someone will spend $100 on a transaction to move a couple $1 million or whatever. So there are a lot of flaws in there. He uses enough words, and it's a long enough article that makes you think he's an expert and has researched it. And I know that's a fallacy. I don't know the name of that fallacy, but it's some heuristic that brings falsehoods to light. So he just doesn't fully understand that Satoshi has designed this, that, one or two people can secure the entire network because difficulty adjustment will adjust accordingly.
It sounds like you didn't attend Bitcoin 101 because we learned that basically first day.
Yeah, exactly. And he does talk about the difficulty adjustment in one or two paragraphs, but he's like, oh, well, it takes 2 weeks to adjust. And if there's a real fast drop in hash power, it might take up to a month. It might take 2 difficulty adjustments. And within that time, there's going to be a 51% attack. So,
yeah, I'm glad you looked at it.
I wasn't trying to rehash a bunch of stuff that it's probably.
I'd love to jump in.
The guy got some, he just got some traction on it. And my first red flag was this damn thing's so long. That was like the first thing that made me think, okay, not sure. Like if you're going to make a point, you don't need to write like a small novel on this, but yeah, I was just curious what you guys thought about it.
Tomer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things here. This sounds like and if I haven't read the piece and I haven't heard the name of the person who wrote it, but it might be someone who, if it's not their first piece of writing on this topic, who I've come across before, so I might be familiar with some of their arguments. But there's a bunch of things that are going on here. First of all, a 51% attack is an attack on very recent transactions. It's not an attack that wipes out the network, right? Like if in the example that Terrence just gave, if there's a halving and for some reason all the miners stop mining and one guy with enough hash power decides to rewrite the last 3 blocks, it's not good, but it's not going to impact any of the Bitcoin that anybody here has already that's on chain. You have to go back and reperform all the work that's been performed up until the block that you want, since the block that you want to rewrite with a double spend in order to undo a transaction. So a 51% attack, while very unpleasant, won't actually affect the overwhelming majority. Like, it'll rewrite, what block number are we on? 962,000 and something. It'll rewrite one millionth of the blockchain, and not just some random one millionth, the most recent 1 millionth, if it were to happen. But it's not going to happen because it's a very dynamic system. If the block reward gets diminished and nobody is paying fees in order to buy block space because there's so much excess block space because the second and third layer solutions are so efficient, it still doesn't mean that the network's going to get 51% attack. Think for a minute. There'll be plenty of rich people, but we always pick on Michael Saylor. So think for a minute. Michael Saylor at this point is going to have 750,000 Bitcoin worth hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Even worth $100 billion. He doesn't have to pay to secure it now. He gets a free ride because the Coinbase transaction, the block subsidy, is paying the miners to secure the Bitcoin blockchain through inflation, right? Through up until we get to 21 million coins. But if we're fast forward to the point where the coins aren't sufficient, do you not think that someone who has hundreds of billions of dollars worth of value will pay the mining network, broadcast a transaction every 10 minutes that pays 1 Bitcoin or 1/10 of a Bitcoin, wherever that drop-off point was, to keep the network just as secure as it had been? Do you not think all the people with all the Bitcoin would want to do that? I mean, you currently pay your bank to secure your money. You pay, if you have a gold in a vault, you pay the vault guards to secure the money. Right now, you're paying the miners to secure your money through inflation. They're the ones who are selling the newly mined Bitcoin that didn't exist before. But when the inflation goes away completely, you'll pay for the service that you're getting. So there's lots of offset things that will change this. And of course, Bitcoin keeps rising in value to the point where the halved block rewards have more purchasing power than the previously non-halved block rewards as well. So there's a lot going on. I haven't read the piece. I don't know who the person is, but when you actually understand how the system works and you think about it, and you don't have to get into very advanced game theory, you realize it's very robust and indeed kind of anti-fragile. So, and Bitcoin's been through a lot of various attacks on its mining. First of all, individual miners who were using GPUs and were able to outcompete and had the opportunity to 51% attack, but the incentives prevented them from it. Then mining pools came, and a mining pool had more than 50% of the hash rate, and the miners withdrew from the mining pool, so that risk of a 51% attack went away. And now we have a mining pool that allows miners to participate in the pool, get the financial benefits, but not be constrained by having to form the block templates, and so on and so forth. And so, like, the idea that that Bitcoin will be so successful that the world chooses it as money, and then it has a slightly below necessary um, reward for what has been the previous mode of operation or norm, and that nothing adapts is kind of the silly idea, because there's so much room for adaptation by the players in the system, and they've demonstrated in the past that because their incentive is to see Bitcoin remain valuable and increase in value, that they'll take action that makes Bitcoin more valuable, like not 51% attack the network themselves. So that's my little spiel,
Yeah,
basically, on
Tomer,
the
and
whole thing.
Tom, I put
when
it in
you
the nest. The
understand
guys,
when you
go ahead.
understand Bitcoin and the network, then you see that anybody
Okay.
who
Sorry, Justin. Give me just a second. This is Justin Bonds. I've run
Yeah.
into this character
Okay.
for a long time. He's been talking about a mining death spiral for 7, 8, 9 years. He claims he has an investment fund that has outperformed Bitcoin by investing in shitcoins. He's basically, I don't like to say bad things about people, but he's wrong. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's founder and CIO of Cyber Capital, Europe's oldest cryptocurrency fund. Full-time crypto researcher since 2014. My words are my own and not investment advice. So there you go.
He was a big Bitcoin casher, and then
That's
he
what
he's a
moved.
B casher.
that's what I
But then
was
he
kind of like.
switched and he moved to Ethereum, and then he switched and moved to some. He's had to revise his hypothesis numerous times, but what he clings to most of all is this mining death spiral idea that Bitcoin needs to have a security budget, and that it will run out because the only security people are prepared to pay for is through the block reward and inflation. Uh, you can reason that that's not the only thing. Like, if you have your life savings in Bitcoin, and someone says, well, the miners aren't getting paid by the service anymore, and you have to pay 1/100th of 1% of your money every year in order to do it. Are you prepared to do it, or just to lose the value of or lose 100% of the value of your Bitcoin? Just what's rational in that case, right? You do it voluntarily.
Absolutely. Hey,
Yeah,
Dark.
so this
Sorry, but
guy, sorry,
go ahead,
Punch.
Justin.
Yep. This guy is either ignorant or he's a liar. It can only be one or the other, or a combination of the both. That he doesn't understand. First of all, there's no incentive to 51% the network. But if you are in a position to do that, which no one is, then when you capture the network, all you can do is rewrite 3 blocks, and all you're incentivized to do then is strengthen the Bitcoin network. So Satoshi had that figured out. But along those lines, um, somebody, I can't remember who introduced this thought, and man, is it resonating with me. But what Tomer just brought up, that those who have most of their net worth or all of it in Bitcoin are then incentivized to decentralize and improve the anti-fragility of the network. We can start doing that now, and we can do it if you've got a lot of net worth in Bitcoin. Right now, I'm a big fan of SAS mining, and I've been um, what's knocking around in my head, and I'm getting very close, I think, to pulling the trigger on this. You realize that for about $4,000, you can buy the latest S21, and you can co-locate this thing in Ethiopia or Paraguay, where they have dams on major rivers, and they're getting power at sub 7 cents per kilowatt. So, and then you've got $150 a month maintenance fee, and you're getting, I believe, 200. Let me see, what is it? 240 terahash. Is that number right? 270 on the S21. So imagine taking that hash power. Imagine if 100,000 people were doing that as individuals. Man, to widen the network, and especially if you're throwing all that hash, which from what I understand with him, it's easy to pass that through Datum and Ocean. So you're really, you can build the block templates yourself, and adding so much decentralization to Bitcoin. So that's kind of a new idea, but as more and more of us have more net worth in Bitcoin, we need to be thinking about doing something like that. The bit axes are really neat, but man, as the efficiency of these things just gets better and better, and we can continually move it to areas of cheap electricity in South America and Africa, it's becoming more
Well,
and more
plus there's
attractive to do
100%
that.
tax write-off,
That
Justin.
too.
Yeah, whatever capital gains you have and you're going to have to pay that year, you can buy dollar for dollar straight into mining equipment. You can write off the entire amount. It's pretty cool. So like, why pay Uncle Sam when you can pay your mining? Like, even if your mining went nowhere, it's the same cost to you.
Yeah, basically for 100, and I don't know, you'd have to do the math on the initial purchase, say $160, $170 a month, you're controlling 270 terahash. I mean, we all need to be thinking about doing that.
For sure. I figured it was fun, but I just didn't have the bandwidth to read through it, the whole thing today. Dark, how you doing? We've been talking about Bitcoin adjacent stuff all morning. Sorry you were here. I didn't get you up to talk. What's on your mind, buddy? And then we'll go to Gen X.
Doing good, brother. I read that article and I thought it left a couple of just obvious glaring misses that were in the article. First, in order to accomplish the 51% attack, you're going to need an awful large shitload of mining equipment, and I'm not sure that equipment even exists. So, I mean, his very concept of what takes down the network is very, very hard to get that much equipment to accomplish that small of an attack. But I would just add to that look, I think we're going to enter into a world in which institutions that own a lot of Bitcoin, an example would be Strategy, will be incentivized to buy miners. I think block space will become exceptionally valuable. And I think even if it's not, it's in their best interest to keep the network secure. So maybe one of the benefits of institutions entering the game is that you will have institutions that will act out of their own economic incentives and own mining companies, even if they're not tremendously profitable, but simply to secure the network. So I'll just land it there.
Yeah, Dark, I think it's currently at like $6 billion or $6 billion plus just for the chance to rewrite a block, right? Where mining records history that can't be edited, and you have a chance to re-edit the last block of history. And that's even if you get it, because all it could take is one solo miner sitting in Turkey to win that block, regardless of how much hash power you have.
I think one of the big problems that we're experiencing with AI, especially on Twitter, is it's allowing people to write incredibly lengthy posts that don't need to be incredibly lengthy because the AI is doing all the writing. So this guy, Justin Bonds, probably just said to Grok, read my last 7 years of posts and make a really long post out of them.
Yeah, make it needlessly complex and make me look really smart by just a word salad of complete shit that everybody will think is really smart and innovative.
Yeah.
And but we've been hearing this stuff for 15 years. It's been debunked.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this guy on
asked Grok
for many years.
Somebody asked Grok right away. It's like the first post beneath the first comment. It's like, Grok, why is this guy a knucklehead? And Grok basically has 3 or 4 things that disprove what he wrote. Not disprove
the Grok battling Grok. Grok, take it out to the school. Take it out to the recess.
Grok just scolded me for not bullying this kid in high school. I should have.
There you go. He needs a good ass kicking. Gen X, how you doing, buddy?
I don't hear Gen X. Do you guys? Is it me?
No, I don't hear him.
I don't hear him either.
Gen X, say something. Gen X, you drop down and we'll bring you back up, buddy. All right. So what do we get accomplished today, kids? We figured out that
we helped plan my 30th anniversary. Terrence, which brand do you like? No name brand or prestige brand of Saran wrap? Like
All right, how
Saran
about
wrap itself, or is Glad wrap good? Or
how's this?
I
just
think Saran Wrap is the brand. Am I
No,
yeah,
wrong?
I
no,
think
Isn't
Saran
that like
Saran is the
Kirkland.
original wrap, but
It's
like those are
Kirkland. You want to do
Costco,
Kirkland brand, Tomer. You need a lot of it.
Kirkland.
Remember what
Yeah.
happened last time,
yeah?
Terrence? I mean, come
Well,
on.
Walmart has a no name version too. What's
Hey,
the
how's my mic?
best? Oh, we
Yeah,
can hear
Humble
you
only
now.
Good,
wants the
Gen
best
X.
Saran Wrap when we
Well,
use Saran Wrap.
Humble will be upset because he wrapped himself in generic Saran wrap, and it was not very thoughtful. He should have bought premium Saran wrap.
Exactly.
Hey, Terrence, what
I
is
don't
the
have a
highest
clue what
anniversary that
Sunwrap is.
Lauren has ever reached?
The highest anniversary? Oh, I think 7 years, Lauren. Is that right?
7 times 5 is 35. Is he that old?
No, he can't be. I don't think
36.
he's even here right now.
I'm here in spirit. Yeah, somewhere in there,
What was your
Terrence. Yeah,
longest?
yeah,
What your
right in there.
longest?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
many
a couple,
anniversaries did you have with the same person?
6 or 7, a couple of times. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I was right. All right, Gen X, are you back?
Yes. Good morning.
There you go.
So, coaching high school girls, patience is one of my virtues. You guys were talking about this 2016 FUD. Interesting. I know Justin and Tomer mentioned a couple things that I was thinking. It's really difficult to forecast the demand just 5 years out from now on how people will be leveraging the block space. You've seen a lot of the shitcoin death where people have basically conceded and they're building projects that are within consensus to use that block data. But the other thing I want to mention is about the massive reduction in hash rate. There is an interesting part of the difficulty adjustment that the amount that it could be increased versus decreased is different. So if you were to, if basically you had a difficulty adjustment down to make it easier, that's throttled to be a certain amount that it could be reduced each difficulty period or 2016 blocks, which is an interesting thing to know about. Basically controlling and limiting how much that difficulty can be allowed to get easier. And if you think about a 2016 block period, well, you have a lot of 5 years from now, I imagine there's going to be a lot more home miners, competition for energy. But yeah, interesting point for those who like the difficulty.
Now, good stuff, Gen X. We got Bitcoin Sniper. Oh no, we got small cap Sniper. How you doing, bud?
Hey guys, doing well. I just want to talk a little bit about this death spiral that people are talking about, and the 51% attack. I guess we could start on the 51% attack and this noise, right? It's, in my opinion, it's just financial fantasy. It's a doomsday scenario that is peddled by these couch potato analysts who just completely ignore basic economics, in my opinion. And I try not to spend too much time thinking about it or giving these people attention, because they haven't bought into the idea or like understood what fiat incentivizes, and that's just allowing like legalization of bullshit. But anyways, you know, if you crunch the numbers to pull off a majority hash rate takeover, you would need like over 500 exahash per second on a network that is humming around 1,000 today. So it's not just like an insane number. It's a like multi-billion-dollar nightmare when it comes to capex. And if you talk about, and like I'd love to talk with some of these people because it just doesn't make sense to me, right? And like we're talking about acquiring or building like millions of ASICs, over 2 million ant miners, S21s at say $2,500 a pop. That's over $6 billion, right? Up
If you could
front.
buy them.
Correct. If you can buy them. Who even knows if that hardware exists? Plus ongoing OpEx for gigawatts of power that could like light up a city, a mid-sized city. So, and then if you just forget the hardware logistics, it's economically suicidal. The opportunity cost, you'd forego mining rewards of about over 3 Bitcoin per block. Right now at 95K, it's worth around 300,000. You launch the attack, get detected immediately, watch the 1.9 trillion market cap crater, obliterates your holdings, and any gains from double spends. Even rental estimates peg a 1 hour assault at like almost $2 million. It's not rentable. It's impossible. Miners are incentivized to protect the network that they profit from. Like the attack is bullshit, in my opinion. Bitcoin's security is there through economic scale, but obviously not financial advice. Invest accordingly. And then when people are talking about this the mining death spiral, I love watching it because it just makes me want to buy even more Bitcoin or just have even more exposure to Bitcoin like assets. These like FUD mongers and doomsayers, it's an apocalyptic tale, right? Where the block rewards have, and they have until they vanish. Central bankers print their way out of crises and any times during stress. The Fed is continuously doing it, expanding the balance sheet, injecting liquidity, and the fixed supply of 21 million coins, no more nor less. That is the crown jewel. That's the reason it's digital gold and not some endless Ponzi scheme like fiat. And if you think security comes from endlessly diluting